Hi there, everyone. Take a seat so we can start. Thank you. So my name is on the board. My name is Erno Rorieve. I'm a technical alliance manager for Mendix. And going to tell you a bit about what we are doing in our ecosystem, Mendix, and especially what that means to actually drive a Mode2 IT organization, especially affected on the architecture you need underneath there. So that will all come together later in the presentation. One first question: who is considering himself as business here in the room? So who thinks himself as a business person? All right. So who is a real technical IT? Yeah. Exactly. I was wondering already who's both. Yeah. Oh, that's cool though. That's where we want to go. All right, great. So for me, also interesting, then I know a bit on what level and details I can go on my story. I've a couple of technical slides. I'm going to give a demo. Always exciting to do some demos here. And yeah, let's start. Let's start to get in the mood. I'm not going to repeat too much of what has been told already, but I do some recap to get in the mood. So IT trends. So we have heard about Internet of Things. We have heard about the cloud computing, the big data, machine learning. One we haven't heard so much about yet, but blockchain, also a really important one and a real important IT trend. So I'm going to talk about these technologies in relation to Mendix, how Mendix can accelerate these, and of course make them for you, enable them for you, so that they become more easy to access, where you can focus on your IT or Mode2 IT instead of and accelerate on what you want instead of spending too much time on how you're going to do it. But if you look at the IT trends, there is one important question: is this an opportunity or a threat? If you zoom into that, from an opportunity side, it could be a real opportunity. If you look to your digital world, you have your digital operations, changing your way of working with your customers, digital products extensions, setting up products in the market, really digital experience, new digital business models, and maybe a whole digital blue ocean. I don't know if you know the term blue ocean, digital blue ocean. But basically it says you're going into areas where your market isn't there yet. So actually you're not going to compete one-on-one against your competitor, but you're finding the areas where your competition isn't there. So the free blue ocean. The alternative is the red ocean. I'm not going to talk about that one now. Is that me? All right. So the other alternative is the threat. So what could be the threat for an organization? I think the threat is that if you are not making that next move, you're accelerating. If you're not moving faster with your IT, most likely competition will do. So there is a different way of competing now. It's not only mere on your direct business, but it is also how fast you can actually innovate in your own business to avoid any disruption. And of course, the new startups which are already starting with a greenfield environment, which doesn't have the standards already in place. They have a different mindset they have the most of likely the people who are already in the modus as I'm business and IT in one person. So they already pick this up much easier, and also from a technology standpoint, you have no backlog. So at the end, it is difficult to grab these new technologies into your organization. That is for sure. Because most of the organizations have to think first through a lot of questions before they can do this. So what about integration? So how is it? How secure is it? What about technical integration? How are we going to deliver it? How are we going to maintain it? Who's going to support it? All those questions where you need to think about before you can start adopting such a technology. So at the end, what we want is to accelerate on that Mode2. So this slide you have seen earlier of yesterday, maybe from Derek. So we are finding a way to get this done. So earlier in this track, so this is the track digital transformation, my previous speakers have spoke about people, they've spoken about how to organize your process, they've talking about how you set up your budgeting, all kind of topics has been touched, and I'm going to talk about more on the architecture. So what to do on the IT side. So what we need is what we call unpluggable innovation architecture. And this is what we call the Mendix innovation architecture. This Mendix innovation architecture is actually built off around our cloud architecture. I'm not expecting that you immediately understand what I put on the board. I'm going to slightly step through it, through my presentation. But in essence, this is an architecture where we say, all right, it's all about these smart applications which we're going to build. The smart applications need to be highly connected and easy to deliver. That is what we do with our rapid development platform. That is in essence what Mendix does. And all the services and cloud capabilities which our ecosystem, our partners are actually delivering, that is what we actually bring and simplify at the app level, but leverage to run and do the DevOps and so on. So examples are the IoT services of our different cloud providers, or the algorithm, the analytics capabilities of our partners, or the big data, the more rough data capabilities. But also the compute, so the scalability, the deployment, the provisioning, all that kind of capabilities is what we leverage from our partners to be able to, at the end, to deliver an app faster, what we do on Mendix, and run, deploy, and consume faster the capabilities. In other words, our ecosystem, so our big platform partners deliver the ingredients, and Mendix makes it a smart app. We compile it and make it a nice dish which can be eaten by the business, and what the business can really experience. So the benefits of having this architecture in place is that it is already clearly outlined, and it is not something which is totally new. There are quite some customers already of us who have this platform or this architecture running. With different vendors, one with the Pivotal, one with Amazon, one with SAS. The integrations are there already, and they are already proven that this setup, the setup of this big data, cloud, and Mendix on top is proven and an accelerating architecture. So it's not invented by Mendix as so, but we actually recognize it from out of the business, and that is how we learn ourselves and then put it together and repeat it together with our other customers. So clearly outline a conceptual technical integration. So upfront, you know where you're getting. Because of all these cloud providers have the same mentality, that is, it is pay as you go, you start small and it can grow. So this is an architecture which is not going to cost you months of preparation to see if you can start with it. Now you can start with it tomorrow. And just start in one of those vendors with building an app, consuming those connectors which we have introduced, and start experimenting with applications having those nice features. It is standardization without compromising. Of course, in an organization, especially the large corporates, we want to standardize to have better prediction on, for example, security, or that we can continue, or that we. Never mind, lost that one. But because of the services orientation of the architecture, all the capabilities, you can switch from one service to the other. You can, and they are all built to scale. All the flexibility is in the platform available. So also the pluggability of the architecture. You can switch from vendor, from different services. You can use actually cross services over the architecture. So you can actually go from best of breed solution within the same architecture without have to migrate stuff and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, we abstract the technology and bring that in higher in the layer to the business. So the business can work closer with this platform on the technology. So then we will zoom in on first the cloud. So the cloud is a basic ingredient. Cloud, we know cloud as private cloud, hybrid cloud, public cloud. These terms are used in several ways. In my sense, I use private cloud if it is basically in the data center of the customer itself. Hybrid when it is in-out, let's say, they use the internal cloud and a cloud from public, mixed. And the public cloud is used as of it is not in the data center of the customer itself, but at a provider. So both clouds, or all those clouds, are actually valid for us. And why did I put Foundry there, Cloud Foundry? Cloud Foundry is an initiative which Mendix stepped into in 2014. We are actually a member of Cloud Foundry. It's an open source community which actually delivers an open PaaS architecture, which makes it possible to have actually ease of deployment, auto-provisioning, all that kind of stuff on a single way. And it makes possible to have interoperability between the clouds. So you can actually go to one cloud and the other one without having to do anything with your application. And that is where Mendix is standardized on. Our own cloud today is also moved to Cloud Foundry standard. So we also deploy our own apps to Cloud Foundry. Basically what you saw in the demo this morning from Johan, where he was actually working in the web modeler, he was actually redeploying his app straight to Cloud Foundry. And our build pack, which we deliver for the ones who are familiar with Cloud Foundry, is so optimized that it actually can do the mutation only and not redeploying a full app in Cloud Foundry, which actually gives us the ability to deploy in 2-3 seconds instead of rebuilding a full container. So for us, a huge thing to have there. So if you zoom into cloud from another way, it is important to understand what level of capability the cloud delivers. So this is traditional IT. So we need to take care of networking, storage. Now, you know all the pieces, I assume. After that, the IaaS architecture came. IaaS architecture actually automates this underlying layer. Like a VMware environment, or the Azure VM images, or the Amazon, how are they called again? The AMI servers. They are an IaaS layer. So they visualize a server. And basically what a PaaS is doing, they push that one level higher. So they are actually considering cloud and having focus on containers, an app. And an app has a bit of OS in there, have a bit of middleware, of integrations with middleware, and at the end a runtime or a build pack. So that is the piece what Cloud Foundry is delivering, and what all those cloud providers are actually adding as value already there. But what they're missing is, of course, an application to run on that. So that is the piece what Mendix is put on top of that. So Mendix, basically, in the modeler, you can build an application, and straight from out of the modeler, you can deploy with one click to this cloud from all those vendors. So why is that important for a Motu IT organization? Back to our transformation. So if you are quick in developing applications, you don't want to actually fall back on deployment. You don't want to go to the operations department and say, all right, I've built this app in 2-3 weeks, please deploy it. And then I need to go through ordering, proceeding. 2 months later, you have your applications in staging or in production. So with this Cloud Foundry integration and with all the auto-provisioning capabilities of those cloud providers, we can do this with one click. So just one click, it auto-provisions, deploys, and it runs. And also from the different stages. So you can do this to test, acceptance, production, and actually deliver a full continuous delivery street of your application. At the end, it is, of course, all about time to market. The self-service capability. In our Mode 2 organization, we think about cross-functional teams. Teams which are fully responsible to deliver your application up to the ability to release to the cloud. And that means they need to have self-service, and they don't have to take care of a storage or disk or all that kind of stuff. That needs to be all self-service, that needs to be done for him. So that is also what the cloud and the Cloud Foundry stack is delivering for us. So release easy, actually what I said really. Release easy, test easy, automated. Service-oriented, and really important one, because there is no app in the world without integration today. A single standalone application, okay, it's a sort of utopia. Maybe they start somewhere, but at the end they will integrate with anything. In the cloud architecture of Cloud Foundry, and they provide a standard service broker model. So basically what you can do in there, you can actually connect your services or your external applications as a service to your application, and the registration is all standardized again. So again, standardization without the compromising of integration. So you can keep integrating, but it is always the same way of doing it. So that gives you good insight, but also predictability on which connection is where. And it will reduce your testing time, because that integration is now as a service available in the cloud. You connect it, and you know this is a proven service. API-based, basically all the capabilities you have in self-service are also all API-based. Both for Mendix, so our full... It's not... Is it me? All right. Also the Mendix platform, so all the capabilities of Mendix, like build a new application, deploy the application, release a new application, it's all available as an API, so you can actually automate it, but also pushing it to the cloud, so all the cloud providers are also automated to push your application into those clouds. And at the end, if you're running and you're really going fast, or you have successful innovation, then you also need to be able to scale. So those clouds actually have the ability to auto-scale our applications. Our applications are stateless. That means actually if you actually duplicate the instances, it doesn't matter where the end user is actually to run his application. So you can actually horizontally scale the application without interruption. And that is also what the cloud is doing for you. So you just enable a threshold on how many, on what load the application should duplicate, and it will automatically duplicate in the cloud. So at the end, a lot of stuff which is done for you, so that at the end we can only focus on what we want to build and run, test, and see if we can be successful. And all the whole hustle around IT is gone. So, but this is all about the compute. So with who are we partnering on this piece? So on the PaaS level, we have of course our own cloud. We're considering that as a public cloud for our customers. We have IBM Bluemix, which delivers 3 flavors: private, dedicated, and public. We have Pivotal Cloud Foundry, which delivers private and public with their partners Azure and Amazon. And we have HP Staccato, previously called HP Helion, which delivers private and public also via Azure. So these are all our Cloud Foundry partners, which we work closely with, and which you can leverage as if you're already working with those companies, leverage in the combination of Mendix. Then on the IaaS layer, we have also support to run Mendix on the IaaS layer. But then you're actually losing the capability of auto-scaling and that kind of stuff. You need to do that manually, so you still can do it. But then you need to actually take those operations manually and do it yourself. So today we are in the marketplace of Azure and on Amazon, and you can start there a Mendix image. And also go in the billing model of Amazon or on Azure, so pay per hour for the Mendix environment. And there is also another trend picking up, which is the PaaS industry-specific or ISV-specific. So like Predix, which is a cloud provider focused on the Internet of Things of, lose the word, of manufacturing and their large engineering. It is from GE. So they deliver aircraft engines, manufacturing fabrics, and so on. And the Internet of Things streams of there is straight going to Predix. And we're working with them to enable Mendix on those clouds as well. So SAS Via is the new version of SAS Institute Analytics. They provide a new cloud offering where they're going to launch their SAS capabilities in a cloud. And also there, it is based on Cloud Foundry. We will be part of that ecosystem so that you can actually build apps on top of those SAS analytics capabilities. And we have some first discussions with SAP HANA, which has also a big marketplace on, with applications running on their cloud. But there are more ingredients. So we now primarily have talked about the compute side. Compute, deploy, run. So this is important if you have an application, but that are not smart applications yet. Yeah? So we have seen the difference. So let's have a look to the other ingredients as well, how we're going to connect those. So back to the trends, we have big data, Internet of Things, blockchain, and machine learning. I'm going to dive one level deeper in these trends, in what that actually means for if it is about the services the cloud providers are delivering to actually have this capability. So it first starts with the large data collections. All those clouds are built to scale, and they have the ability to manage large data collections. By doing parallel computing, having large data lake kind of the warehousing of in-memory database grids, they are all optimized to handle big data or large data sets. They also optimize for large streaming data. Streaming data, high volumes, high volume input streams, and it's all about scale. Also, an unstructured piece. So it's not only about records, it is about all data you can think of. File, video, documents, structured databases. It is all together in that big cloud. A really important one in this way of working is basically schema when you read. So we need to think about this term if you haven't seen them before. But basically, in traditional big data, you're going to actually set up a schema to optimize and to set up your question up front. So actually, you're going to crunch your data, what you have, put it in a schema, and then I can ask the right questions to my BI or my analytics and so on. That actually makes you really slow in your change, because for each change, you have to go back to your database schema, change it, scrunch your data again, store it, and then you're going to have to ask the question. So schema, when you read, actually turns that around. You just store whatever you have, like we do over here, everything on one piece, and basically, you make the read much more intelligent. So on the moment I'm going to read my data, I define the schema of my data, crunch it on read, and then I have my result immediately. And that's actually, in principle, the essence also of big data. So large volumes, schema when you read. At the end, analytics and services. So now that I have this flexibility to actually access data in any form on an agile way, I can actually set up in more intelligent analytics, which actually can learn. Because if I discover more models here, I don't have to crunch my data up front. I can automatically do a new read of the data, get it into my analytics, and we're getting one step further. The last but not least is security and trust. I need to be sure that what is happening with my data in those clouds are trusted, that I can follow the data, that it is audited. Because if I'm going to, at the end, do a decision based on this, I want to also be sure that the data where it's coming from is basically qualified, it is of good quality, or it's maybe personalized so that some privacy information is out of there. That is also a real big piece. But also security, for example, in encryption. So if you look to these ingredients and we look to the other IT trends which I showed you earlier, now we can actually plot them on top of them. So big data analytics is a combination of this one, the schema read, and analytics capability. If you look to Internet of Things basically streaming data with the schema and your read and analytics. If you look to, for example, blockchain is all about security and networking, so data transactions. So who's actually familiar with blockchain? Yeah, Okay, so in essence, it comes from out of the Bitcoin philosophy. It is an open way of doing transactions. So handing over value actually on a transparent way. So everyone can see a transaction from one to the other, which is anonymous, but it is validated from each node to each node. And these are typical services which the cloud providers deliver to have this network available. And it's a matter of building an app to consume it. So and that's all about security. And then machine learning is all about, hey, these analytics are going to find patterns and going to optimize their patterns when they're going on. And if they find their patterns, we're going back to this stack and see that we can actually make smarter decisions when we are ongoing. So what is the role of Mendix in this system? So Mendix, with the new connector framework, is actually connecting to the underlayer cloud foundry services initially on the analytics side. And also, as Johan already mentioned, we connect with context. So we have, for example, an app, a mobile app, a desktop app. We are in a certain business process, or we are on a physical location. We are connected to a beacon. We have context. We are doing something in the business. And with that context, we are going to ask information, insights of the context where I'm in. That could be a workflow, a process. It could be a dashboard which I'm looking at, and I want to take action on that. So I send that here, analytics gives me some insights, and I can make smarter decisions. Then if I go to the machine learning part, machine learning is all about behavior. So all the things what I'm doing, or which is happening around me, that behavior is also fed to the machine learning side. And at the end, I can make smarter decisions, or even the decisions are made for me automatically. And last, the Internet of Things is all about events and streams. So the Internet of Things networks of the cloud vendors, they handle the large volume streams. And actually, we put the filters in and say, all right, I'm interested on these occasions, on these events. And we only get the events in. And we can, again, act on events and make that operational. So at the end, we are that application in the business, acting, reacting, getting insights, getting events, and learn from this side. This is the role in the ecosystem of Mendix and how we actually leverage all those platforms. As an interesting slide which I received is from Gartner, by the way. This says something about what is going on with the analytics world and decision making, and how that is moving to machine learning. So I put it in because I thought it has a good relation on the story I had before, especially if you look where we started with descriptive analytics, so what happened, looking back, BI-wise, that is where we're looking on trends and all that kind of stuff. Based on that, we could do some diagnostics, so from, hey, maybe we could do it different in the future, still human-driven. I think quite some companies are starting to investigate here, predicting capability to see maybe I can already get a recommendation on what I want, or get a better price offer, or help my customer to make smarter decisions. And perspective actually says, all right, let's just do it. Let's make the move, drive the customer, help in, and make decisions fully automatically. At the end, on all these occasions, we are on this side, on the action and the decision. At the end, an action needs to be taken in an application in the hands of our customers. And that's what Mendix is doing there. And by integrating on those levels, we do that. So I'm looking to my time. I think I'm doing well. All right? It's a nice talk. We've talked about also more nice models, but also I've proved it, also for myself, to build something. So I created a demo in combination with our partners. So I've worked with Pivotal on a solution they have for fraud management. So basically, Pivotal gets a data stream in of transactions, financial transactions like on your cash machine. And they have an in-memory database, Gemfire, which is doing a real-life filtering and predicting on suspected transactions in that stream. So if he finds a suspect, someone needs to act on it. So yeah, that is not part of the big data. So there we actually start talking about an application. So that's where Mendix stops in. So Mendix actually picks up the suspect and is going to collect additional data around the suspected transaction. So it's going to enrich the data by integrating with the backend systems. And then it's going to ask Yami and Watson on some additional insights. He's going to do some facial recognition to see who was there and is that potentially the customer or the account owner, yes or no. Also, he's going to ask an advice to the SAS machine learning environment to say, all right, so with this context, within these insights, what do you suggest? And at the end, he's going to make a decision on what to do with this suspected transaction. And finally, that behavior will be learned again by SAS machine learning. So this is a conceptual view which I'm going to demonstrate now, if everything works. No, it's going to work. All right, let's do that. All right, it's not going to be my mouse. All right, so what I'm going to do, start, I've got here the pivotal big data. Oh, you don't see anything? There we are. So we've got here the pivotal big data stack, all on my laptop, by the way. So it's a great laptop. And what I'm going to do, I start a simulator who's going to simulate the stream of transactions. So the simulator is going to fire about 100,000 transactions to the in-memory database of Pivotal. So that is what it's going to do right now. So that will take a few seconds before it runs. Then I will open the dashboard. This is a dashboard which is delivered in that Pivotal demo. And here we're going to see all the transactions popping up in a few seconds. So, and then if he finds a suspect, we'll get that to see over here. So this is still nothing to do with the whole integration. This is still the Pivotal part. So let's see how he picks up. All right, yeah, he's firing. So there we are. So there are the transactions coming in. So over here comes transactions. And you see on the right side, he's found the first suspect, a suspected transaction. So in the meanwhile, my dashboard is running over here as well. And so this one is still running. And yeah, how this goes, technically in Gemfire, the in-memory database, he processes everything. And after a certain batch, he drops that down into their Greenbloom database, a big data database. So Mendix will actually get a feed from one of the database. So every 5 or 10 seconds, he will do a new query on that database to see, are there any new suspects which I need to pick up? So if everything works fine, we will get here suspects within a few seconds. There they are. So Mendix now actually has received the first 9 suspects, also puts them on the map geographically. And these are already more enriched than the one I saw on the other Pivotal side. And now I can start acting on those transactions. So I actually can open one, and I don't have so much information yet. So I don't have the picture of the guy who was standing for the cash machine. I'm missing a lot of information. So first I've done some integration with my backend system. And of course you do that normally automatically. But now for showing you, I have added some buttons in there. So I'm going to enrich my content. And I've actually received the current balance of the account owner, his latest transactions, a bit of review, the history of the account, and the account owner, and other stuff. So now this is, of course, a conceptual demonstration. I'm not really connecting to any external system at the moment, but I think, yeah, everyone who knows Mendix is integration is one of our key things, so that will be not be a miracle. The next thing what I'm going to do is I've got this picture here of this guy getting money, and I'm going to send this picture to IBM Watson to, oh, he already recognized his age. Now, yeah, I'm going to analyze it further. So I'm going to analyze it, and I send it to SAS to get a recommendation back. And basically, with the analysis of his age, he said, yeah, but the account owner is about 80 years old. Most likely, this is not the guy owning the account, and you should lock it. So now I've got a recommendation. I can actually see that there is now a recommendation. Please lock the account. And I actually can open the details of what SAS is actually doing to come to this conclusion. And yeah, also to give you a bit of insights on how SAS is actually doing then the correlation on all the decisions which is made and how he is building up a decision tree to learn. And also this is real primitive setup now, but it is all about the concept, of course. SAS is actually getting all the data, so all the transactions and the suspected information and the behavior which has happened with the transactions in the past, get it here together, builds up a decision tree, find relations between different transactions, find location, geographic transactions versus suspected transactions, and all keeps on combining the data to find stronger correlations, and with that, make stronger predictions on what would be the best next step for an account. Now, this is basically the concept which I wanted to show you on how these pieces could come together. But one last thing is, and this is also what is shown on the stage, but I show it here again. So the analysis and getting your recommendation is nothing more as walking through a simple microflow like this. So here I do the algorithm vision of Watson, and you can actually can do all kind of services here. So I've got a pre-release of Mendix 7, as you can see. So I can actually get all these services here, the SAS integration services here, the external database. I can drag them into my project and then just consume those services. And this is something we have already done. And this is what we are keeping doing in the coming months with all our partners to get this whole catalog filled with these capabilities. So, and at the end, it's a matter of giving through the context of your case and rendering that back to your plan. Okay. So back to my slides. So talked about this. I think I've got one slide left. The benefits for Mode 2, once more. So in our transformation program, we have talked about the 4 Ps. You have seen the start, structure, scale transformation. So start small, after that celebrate, learn, set up a structure and governance, start experimenting with multiple teams, and at the end scale. The 4 Ps, Mode 2 or faster IT or experimental IT is not going to work if you don't have all the 4 Ps in place. So we have now zoomed in more on the platform side, but without a strong portfolio on which application would you qualify to go in this Mode 2 experimental way of developing, which people are you going to use to have that new mindset, and of course how you adopt your process in your organization. So this is what we have talked about, and if you then look to the benefits on the architectural side, again, standardization without compromising, start small, best-of-breed solutions, reduce time in testing, because the applications of Mendix is actually really important on. The applications of Mendix are in essence always the same. It's always in Java, virtual machine, it's always in runtime and a model. And if you deploy 20 applications, total different functionalities. They don't look to each other. They are mobile, they are desktop. Technically, they're all the same. So if you think about that, if you deploy that, maintain that, if you need to do your penetration testing, if you need to do your security validation, all that kind of stuff, you do that once, and after that, I can continue deploying, go, because it's always the same technology which you're deploying. So reduced testing is a really important one. And another one is lower cost of education. So back to that cross-functional team, I foresee a cross-functional team if you take analytics, IoT, all that kind of stuff into equation with an analyst, an information analyst, a Mendix modeler, the business, and the user. 4 users, that is your minimum cross-functional team, and they could do the job to deliver these applications. So I should say, let's start. We have this in place, we have other connectors, we have the integration natively from out of Mendix into Cloud Foundry. So let's take the first sprint. Just do it. Thank you.